Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast. Welcome back, Lewis and John from Prime Property Auctions. Delighted to have you back on the show together this time because we've recorded you in separate occasions. But first of all, just wanted to show our appreciation for you guys supporting the podcast. And, you know, it's been a long back and forth with the lawyers and all that, thrashing out the contracts, but we're delighted to have signed a deal for sponsorship of the Scottish Property Podcast.
Thank you for having us and letting us a sponsor.
4 years in and Nick's finally gave in to a sponsor of the podcast.
For the right person. For the right
exactly.
people.
We have actually had offers in the past, right? But we've held off because it's not been the right fit, right? And I've always said to Stephen, look, it's got to be somebody who we can trust, who we're happy to do business with. We've done business with yourselves, myself and Stephen and all that. We know that you can deliver and we've got no hesitation in saying to our listeners, look, guys, if you want to sell a property, then go to John and Lewis, you know, because they do a good job. So there's no hesitation there.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think of these guys?
I sold the property with them this month. So the proof's in the pudding. We work with people that we support and know they do a good job. So yeah, I think you're right.
Exactly.
Waiting for the right fit.
And if you do have a bad experience and they rip you off, then don't come looking for us. We've put a disclaimer at the bottom of the show. Guys, brilliant. And obviously, just from a value for the listeners' point of view as well, we're going to record a wee episode today because there's always stuff to talk about. You know, you guys got your finger on the pulse day in, day out. We're going to touch on sales, you know, for younger people here who are looking for a career in property as well. You know, how did you get into actually property sales and your tips on that and how you're developing a team around that too. At Prime, we talk about sellers' motivations as well. You know, those folk that are out there property sourcing just now, you know, what are the challenges and hurdles that you come across day to day, how to overcome them, how to put a deal together and stuff like that. I think that would be hugely valuable for our listeners. And also, what was the other thing? Scaling and marketing in your business as well. So you guys have got a bit of a beast going on at Prime at the moment. You're putting a lot back into it. Advertising, building the brand and all the rest of it. So what I hear about all that good stuff as well. But yeah, how's things been, guys? What's been the latest? How is Prime developing?
Yeah, really good. We are moving office next week. So by the time this comes out, I imagine we'll be in there.
Nice.
So it took us a long time to actually find the right office. It was like, do we go like one step over? Because we need to hire more staff, and where we are at the moment, we physically cannot hire anymore. We're going to go to another office so we could hire maybe another 3 or 4 people. But we decided, let's just skip that. And now we've got a really big office in the city centre of Glasgow where we'll be able to hire another, 15, 20 people down the line if we want, so we don't have to move and then move again.
How many staff you got just now?
So there's 8 of us. Well, but then we've also hired another person to the media team who starts when we move into the new office, and we've just hired a full-time web developer as well.
It's so good to see, mate. It's so good to see from your attic room 18 months ago.
Yeah, well, that's actually funny. So with the office within the office, so Lewis and I will actually be away from everybody now, which will be good for us, so we can talk about the business and where we're going to spend advertising money, new hires, stuff like that. And our office is going to be called the Attic, just that's nice. Where it all started.
So our respective wives are doing the staging for the office, and they're going to hang signs up in all the different areas. So our office will be the Attic, the sales bit will be called the Pit. Yeah. And then the media department will be called Hollywood.
Nice.
So. Love it. You having a launch party for the new office?
We are, yeah.
Hopefully our invites.
Absolutely.
In the post.
100%. 100%.
No, I love it, guys, because obviously I watched your social clips and all that, and you guys have invested heavily in providing social media, putting out social media marketing. We've got Nathan here on the video camera filming this for clips as well. And I just see it as estate agency, lettings, property industry can be quite stuffy a lot of times, I think. But when I watch you guys, I think that looks like great fun. They've got the basketball hoop out and that in the office. You look like you're having a right good, you're building a team, kind of, there's good camaraderie there as well, as opposed to not just being about, right, you do that job and do it. Here's your task list and report back to me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, how do you build that kind of culture?
So it's getting people that are in that actually like property or interested in property. So the guys that we bring in actually want to invest in property eventually, and we encourage them. So there's a difference between someone that's just working a sales job for the money and they clock out at 5 o'clock, and then someone that actually wants to get involved in the industry. So we're keen to hire people that have a keen interest in property that we can then develop. We want them to buy their own properties, because when they own property, they understand the product even better. You need to know your stock.
So, well, because there'll be a lot of people, because I worked in, I had a job 9 to 5 for a long time, and that worked for a big company and all that. And it was literally about keeping shareholders happy and how much they could squeeze out the staff, And if you got asked to do something out with your time, you'd be like, no, I clock off at 5. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there was that kind of culture.
Well, we obviously pay like very aggressive commission because we want the guys to make money. That's like the whole, obviously if they're making money, we're making money. And obviously we put group incentives on as well. So it's not just like, obviously in sales, it can be very much like, it's all about me. Whereas it's like the group camaraderie, as you say, it's like everybody wants to sell other people's properties. So we put a commission structure in place that does actually benefit everybody, even if it's not specifically their property they're dealing with.
So if you've got a team of, say, 6 people, right, and you've got sales leads coming in for whatever, advertising, Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever, how does that get allocated then? Because if you've not got people, is there not a danger of people fighting over the same leads? Or, how does that work?
So we have two segments of the business, sellers and buyers. Seller leads come in through our system and they get allocated in a sequence to people that can do sign-ups. So it goes to John, Jimmy, whatever, and then it goes to John, Jimmy. It's a sequence.
Right.
For buyer leads, once the property's signed up, it's allocated to a negotiator who deals with all of the inquiries, because we would rather have one person know the stock really well and deal with everything that's coming in versus anyone can sell it. Because it means negotiation with the sellers are also it's a lot easier. You get to understand the stock a lot better, which is number one rule of sales, know your stock. And then it's easier to facilitate a sale.
Also build a better rapport with the seller as well, know what they actually want. When you're speaking to this, know what it's like. There's nothing worse if you're getting phone call off like 10 different people. What we want is that trust with the person that you're actually dealing with, and them understanding what you want to get the property sold for. Because some people when they are selling, like price is number one, and then some people that come to us is like, it's all about the facilitation of a quick sale. So then in which case they will take a little bit less, as long as we can get the offer in, they can pay a deposit, and the completion is going to be within that 28 days or 14 days, which some people will offer.
Well, that takes us to a good stepping point to what we want to try and give the listeners back value today is on motivated sellers, because motivations come in so many different forms. And we spoke before we started recording, saying that every time you sell a property, you're having that 30-40 minute conversation with the seller to find out exactly the backstory, what is the full situation. So yeah, talk us through the most common ones.
The most common one with ourselves anyway is properties in dilapidated states that people have either inherited or a tenant has gone in and trashed it. And as we all know, as property investors, if you're not making a lot of cash flow, and it's like, okay, well, do I spend £20,000 doing up this property, but I bought it however long ago and I've already made my money? Actually, I could just sell it on to the next investor. So with that, it's just usually it's lack of capital, which obviously puts a really good, it's a good place for buyers, because then they can actually get the property for a good discount that they can add the value to. So there's that's what people are looking for when they're buying at auction as well, properties that they can add value to and then flip or do your BRRs, whatever.
It's funny because people always look at it from that negative point of view, like that, the seller's motivated, they must have died, or my mom's house has died. It's never the case. Like, I was on the phone to you guys earlier this month. My motivation had changed for a property I listed with you 5-6 months ago. I'll sell everything and go, here's my price point, it's higher. I wasn't as motivated. Then I phoned you start of the month going, I'm motivated this month. My year end for this company.
Yeah, but that's it. I want to close this company down. I want to get rid of it now. This is what I need. Get it sold. Boom. Find you a buyer.
Yeah. And it changes day to day. And I'm not motivated from a negative point of view. I'm motivated from it's the last property in a portfolio I had in this company. So it's the last one. If I go over the 31st of January, I'm paying another set of year-end accounts. For what? To sit with one property that's cash on a couple £100 a month. Let's get rid of it.
Guys, let's just take a quick minute to talk about selling your property with our show sponsors, Prime Property Auctions. Now, John and Lewis from Prime offer an excellent service, and both myself and Stephen have personally used them in the past. They handle both vacant and tenanted properties, and you control the minimum reserve price. They cover all the costs like photos and videos, and it's a no sale, no fee. If you're interested in finding out about your property's value in auction, then please head to the show notes and click the link. Back to the podcast. Do you do any tracking of the reason why people are wanting to sell? Yeah.
Yeah. So when we sell a property, all of our sellers answer a questionnaire and asks them why they're looking to sell. And the top 3 reasons. So the biggest reason is they've tried to sell it elsewhere and it hasn't sold. Second biggest reason is it's tenanted. And the third is it's dilapidated, or there's a refurb required and they don't have the money for it, or don't want to spend the money on it. And that's why they sell with us.
And over the last 12 months or so, obviously we've been facing a lot of government stuff, legislation that making it harder for landlords and that. So have you noticed any uptick in inquiries from tenanted properties,
Yeah,
landlords?
absolutely. I mean, that's the second reason why people sell with us.
So that is a thing. So
Yeah.
it's not just like, you know, what we're seeing in the press, but these headlines about landlords exiting, that is happening. That's good to see that, you know, firsthand from your point of view. Not good in a sense, it's good because
interesting
it's
to
had
know,
a negative impact, but it reinforces, because a lot of people say, don't believe what you read in the newspapers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you're actually seeing
most landlords though they've had a property for however long, and they've kept they've got a good relationship with the tenant. The rent has been low, and they don't want to kick them out, but it makes it harder to sell because the rent's low compared to the actual value of the property. So when they come to us, it's like that's one of their main focuses is like, I don't want to kick this tenant out. Can you sell it with the tenant in place? It's like, of course we can, because we are dealing with other investors that are happy to buy a property with a tenant in situ. Especially, we've all had properties that are sitting there vacant. There's nothing worse as a property investor having a property with nobody in it, that you're losing money at that point. Whereas if you can buy a property day one and it's cash flowing, then absolutely fantastic. So there's always...
I want you to think back to the last 6 months, right? Both of you, and think of a real good success story, right? Where you've achieved, and also think about a failure as well. So do you want to, who wants to do the success? Who wants to do the failure? Because we need to balance it up. It can't all be roses.
Success in terms of a seller or buyer?
Could be anything, a scenario where that you've got a great outcome for the seller. I think the seller, basically. I want it behind the scenes. Like we managed to, you know, this lady was in debt or something like that, or there was a death here or something.
So I think we had a HMO or a potential HMO in the West End of Glasgow. I think it was Charing Cross area. And the seller, I think the home report was 195, and the seller wanted a lot of money for it. We told them it's probably a wee bit unrealistic, but we gave him it a shot anyway. And because it could have been a HMO, we managed to sell it on that basis, based on the cash flow potential. I think it sold for like 300,000
300 grand, yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
A home report 195 or something.
195.
Yeah.
And he had it on with another agent to try to sell it?
He
No.
actually just bought it from another agent. So it's a client of mine. So we obviously deal with property traders. So he was like, John, do you reckon you can sell this for 300?
Right.
And I was like, I mean, yeah, given where it is, given the obviously the condition of it was fine. Needed a little bit of refurb on it. He was like, perfect. So I mean, he bought it for actually less than the home report, and then gave it to us, and we sold it in like 2 months.
Did that go to an auction, or was that did that go to the online bidding, or was that
Pre-auction.
agreed pre-auction? And what was the buyer's circumstances? What were they going to do with it?
So they own like blocks
Right.
within the area, and they were just looking for another property, and they phoned me up and was like, John, have you got anything that ticks these boxes? And I was like, I do. Would you give us this? So I think that they sold it for it was a little bit under 300. The seller initially wanted obviously 300. I think they got it for like 290.
Are you able to go into any more detail about the negotiation? Because I'm thinking, why would anyone pay
So
105 over the home report?
negotiation wise, so this is the importance of understanding stock and speaking to investors as an investor. Because if you can sell something on the basis of the potential cash flow, that's a different value than just what a home report says.
That's key. That is definitely
Yeah,
key.
we were really upselling the yield.
The numbers on
potential
it. You're
that,
going
yeah.
into numbers, whereas that standard estate agent, they
Oh,
wouldn't
the
have
property's
that.
this, worth this.
ability to really sell it on that basis.
And that's always the issue. I mean, obviously, one of the big strategies that you always say that auction is good for is if you actually rip out your kitchen, rip out your bathroom, because then people have to judge the value themselves.
Yeah.
What will it be worth once you do it up? Home reports, I mean, surveyors are inherently negative. Their job is to go in and point out defects in a property, and also all their data is old. They're going off six months in the past, a year in the past, however long it is, whereas we can be like, well, we actually know people are buying properties on this basis in this area, therefore we have got first hand, like, this is what's happening in the now, because we are dealing with buyers who are happy to pay this for these properties. So if anything, when we are speaking to surveyors, I mean, we literally go to bat for our clients. We're like, this should have a home report of 100, and the surveyor's like, oh, it's only worth 85. I'm like, how? We actually, just to bring on to another circumstance, we had a client that really needed a quick sale because their sister was terminally ill, literally was on palliative care, and they were like, we need this to sell immediately. And luckily enough for us, we've got a good client book, and we phoned up and said, can you buy this? And they facilitated the sale in 14 days. So I phoned up the seller who instructed the sister of the person who was ill, basically looking for, I was like, are you happy with everything that went? And she was like, well, she was broke down. She was like, well, it couldn't have, I was like, obviously it's been a horrible experience because literally it completed and then our sister passed away, sadly. But she was like, you facilitated such a quick sale for us and everything has gone through so smoothly. So we couldn't have been happier with the service we got. So obviously that, when the motivation for them was like, we need it sold really quickly. And they wanted 70 grand and we actually got them 80. Wow. So the property was worth more than that, but they still got them more than they wanted. And obviously some people were like, oh, if they'll take 70, let's try and get it for 60. We're like, well, if they'll take 70, we know there's still a good buy there. We managed to get it for that.
Result, a part of the sponsorship deal, by the way, was sharing the negatives as well. So we need to keep it real, right, guys? I mean, I've seen your listings. There are listings that have been on there for months that are no selling as well. So what are the challenges? What are the challenges there for some properties?
Again, it's client expectation, because ultimately when somebody sells with us, they set the price. That's the whole thing. They set the price of what they want. We can't make somebody take an offer. It is up to you. If we present you an offer, but if someone just sits there and is like, I'm not taking anything less than this, then it will sit on the book. So people always phone us up and say, oh, I've seen a property's been on for 18 months. I'll give you 50 grand. It's like, the reason it's been on for 18 months is because we've already had 100 offers at 50, 55 grand. The seller wants 65. So
is it worth actually putting on the Rightmove listing? Seller will not accept less. We've already had these offers.
As Stephen said just before, he's like, so when somebody's not happy to sell then for a certain price, but then something can change. So if a client's going, do you know what? I actually need this sold now because I've got another opportunity to buy something else.
We've got stock on the website with you in Aberdeen, and that, the way I look at it is everything in the portfolio is for sale. Yeah. So if it's on your website and we get a couple of bites, then brilliant. If we're wanting home report value for it, because we're right now we don't need the money, but it's where we want. But that could change. We've seen a great opportunity. We want to raise some more cash. Exactly. Well, I've got you offers in it. 10 grand less, 20 grand less. Well, let's discuss it. Yeah. Like, it could change all the time. So yeah.
Would you, if somebody did come in then with a low ball offer, would you kind of follow up with that person, or would you just say they're a time waster?
So if something comes in that we've already had an offer higher than, we'll tell them we've had an offer higher than this, so it needs to be north of this figure. If we haven't, we'll qualify them, and then we will ask the question. Our job is to generate offers. It's up to the sellers to then decide on whether they want to take it, and then we'll use our skill to try and get the offers as high as it can. But that's what we guarantee, is we will get you offers.
Yeah, you guys must have a board, maybe up in the office, or some sort of list of like people that are always calling up with the cheeky offers. You're like, I know him again. I know what's coming here. Do you know what I mean?
Because we do deal with deal sourcers. If they're known to us and we know that they can actually facilitate and they've got buyers for it, that's fine. But people starting out, go do a course and there's like, just make as many offers as you can. But then we know that name. So if an offer comes in, it's like the person doesn't pick up the phone to us, or every time we try and negotiate a deal, they then say, oh, well, I need this and I need that and I need this. And it's like, oh, I'm raising money from here. And it's like, you're never going to get a property from us now because you've now...
So guys, if you're listening, this is better education than you can get on these weekend courses, because we've got these guys telling you straight what you need to do if you want to be successful in deal sourcing, right? So what are the common phrases that you hear of people coming on the phone that you're like alarm bells straight away that this guy's bullshitting?
I think massive tip for somebody is like, if you are a deal sourcer, just tell the agent.
Right.
Don't pretend that you're Billy Big Balls and you've got 10 million in the bank. That's usually the biggest
I'm
alarm.
a cash buyer, mate. I'm a cash buyer.
I mean, it's just like, because we teach all our staff, is like, if someone says they're cash, it's okay to ask if it's a bridging loan, because people, it's like, oh yeah, well, cash, I'm getting a loan. We've literally get people saying, oh yeah, I'm getting the cash from the bank. It's like, so it's a mortgage. Do you know what I mean?
The bank's buying it.
Yeah,
the bank.
Yeah. So that's the big thing, because if somebody phones us up and it's like, I've got 10 million in the bank and I own 150 properties. Why have I never heard of you before?
Or why would you feel the need to sort of say that?
Do you know what? Like, we have sold properties to clients who have been found through deal sourcers. Just be upfront with it.
Yeah.
So what we can do, we help people sell properties. So for example, if someone comes across a seller they can't help, they refer it to us. We sell it, we split the commission. But you can also find buyers for us as well. So it's not just passing sellers to us, it's finding buyers for us. Mm-hmm. And we can do things with our fees for the sourcing agent.
But if you know up front that they're actually sourcing agents,
we have a massive shop. We've got over 230 listings at the moment. So if you know, because especially the deal sourcers, they've got a wealthy investor that they are like, I know I need to buy property because they've got a business that actually generates some more money, but they need to pump it into property. So if you've got that and you phone up Lewis or myself and say, right, I've got a client that's looking for properties at 10% yield. Perfect. Here is a list. If you want to have your client go and buy them, do any of these? He's like, he buys in that area. Perfect. What will they offer us? Boom. We can do the deal from there. Yeah.
So you're talking about expanding. You're talking about recruitment, right? So what are the attributes for somebody who's been successful that you've seen coming through? What kind of skills or motivation, mentality do they have to have?
So we've not hired a huge amount of people, so we don't have the data. Right. But from the people we've hired, they've all, funnily enough, done courses. So they have that base level understanding of property through doing that. They have an interest in property and they're super coachable. So they understand that they don't know anything.
Right. That's interesting, isn't it? Because if all of them have done courses, is that showing the kind of willingness to kind of want to learn as well? Yeah.
What's interesting is that they've all tried deal sourcing themselves and they come across the realities of it. It's not that easy. But they still want to get involved in property. So why not come into a business where you write your own paycheck, you get paid the commission, but it's under a brand and we're feeding you leads.
Yeah, there's no overheads that they have to spend. Right. We are dealing with all the overheads.
Sorry, as you come into that conversation, mate, I'm going to have to go off again on the property education. And I just think there is good ones out there. Stephen's sitting beside me here. They're doing it day in, day out. You can tell from their success that obviously it is possible. Right, but I'm still seeing all the time on my social media feed these claims.
10k in a month.
10k a month
within 3 months.
I've fucking been trying to run a business here for 6 years, and I'm still not making 10k a month. Do you know what I mean? And every day I'm fucking getting smashed in the face.
That's not an easy. That's not an easy sale, Nick, is it? If a course seller tells you, by the way, once you become a deal sourcer, you can make this much money, but it's going to be bloody hard to do. And you're going to have to work. It's not going to be you're working 4 hours a day and you go and rest on the beach in Bali for the rest of the time. It's like, no, you're going to be working 12, 14, 16 hours a day if you want to build your own business. Because if you're going to be a deal sourcer, that's what you are. You're self-employed. You're trying to build a business. But what we are wanting is guys who are money hungry and want to learn about property. So we're actually paying our staff to learn from both Lewis and I. We both have a good property portfolio and now we're building a business and they're close to us. So we're still effectively a startup, but they can see where we're allocating our finances. Because everyone's like, one of the guys asked me, are you making more money now than when you were? No, I'm not, because I'm reinvesting so much of it back into the business. That's how you grow. That's how you build a business. It's not like, I made 50 grand this month.
But nobody's prepared to do the work, the blood, sweat and tears to get to that.
And you're all things starting out as a deal sourcer. You are the person that's chasing down leads on the phone, trying to build up, trying to network, trying to be your bookkeeper, trying to be your admin person. Like, you're that everything.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I have no issue. Sorry, Liz. I have no issue with the content and what they're teaching. I mean, I'm just hearing from other people what is on the course, right? They've been in these courses. What they're teaching works, right? No argument, right? People are getting value off it because they're learning something they didn't know before. But for me, it's the fucking marketing claims. Leave your job, replace your full-time income within 6 months. 10K a month is the figure, like you said. Go for it.
Compare that to traditional education. So it's a well-known fact now that things that they're being taught in unis now generally, compared to reality, is just they're going way off track. Mm-hmm. So the issue that you have is with the claims that are being made by these education course providers, but the value they're given is probably more valuable than what you learn in uni, and it's a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah, go and get me 30 grand of debt to go to university for 4 years to then make a 30 grand a year salary.
Potentially.
And the reason
potentially, or go on a course and put the same work in and make 30 grand.
Sorry, I'm going to need a butt in there, because percentage-wise, how many people are actually coming out with going into a full-time job after, okay, they're getting into debt, right? And how many percentage people are coming off of a property course and actually succeeding? Well, I would say
it's all up to them.
Very
ultimately,
small numbers.
The reason that the universities don't get shtick, I think that's the word, is they don't make the claims. They say, if you spend this amount of money, get yourself in debt, you might graduate and you might do well after it. That's their offer.
Yep.
It's not a very compelling offer, but it's just the way it's always been.
That's a good point. And the reason why they're making the claims is because that's the way they hook people in, because they're selling the dream.
Of course. But ultimately, if someone can teach you how to make money in property, which is a much more applicable skill to have, it's still worth, regardless of the claim, it's still worth more than arguably traditional education.
You've got to actually apply.
You have to apply what you're doing.
And it works. Like nobody can argue that it doesn't work, because the proof's here, So yeah, go and sign up to Stephen's course. Fucking, I always find myself, because I always fucking destroy the property education space, right? And then I feel fucking bad for you, because that's your business.
Then I flip on your arse, and then you've got two guys across the road here sitting flipping on its head as well. And you're like, for fuck's sake, I must be the one that's negatively wrong.
Yeah. No, it's right.
It's all about application. I mean, if you can know something, and then so there's course junkies, so they just do another course, they do another course, they do another course. It's like what Lewis and I are very big on is actual action. Taking something from a course that we go do and then going, what are we going to action from what we've learned?
And again, I don't want to be derogatory to anybody that's been in a course as well, because that's not my aim with this, because there's loads of great people.
We are hiring them.
Yeah,
they're good.
No, exactly.
Every person
and they're motivated people. And like we meet them all the time at the events as well. Absolutely, I've made loads of good friends at the Glasgow Scottish Property Podcast event who have come off the back of courses. But sometimes the young people especially do become a bit...
But it's their fucking lazy attitude that they want the riches quick, and they're believing it and getting sucked into that. True. Nothing in life is going to be easy if you don't put the work into it. You have to put the work into it.
I think for a lot of these, for a lot of the people, it's the working a job is now being seen as, I'm working for somebody else. How dare it? It's like, well, actually, see if you get a good job in an environment you enjoy coming to work, and you're getting paid, and you're learning, and the people around you have all got similar mindset of like growth mindset, make more money, invest. That's a good environment. It's hard to build, and that's why we are selective with who we hire, because if someone's like, I'm just want to come in, punch the clock and leave, it's like, no, well, we want you to be actually progressing yourself personally.
It's like
I think that's a really good point actually about it. It's like the whole market message today is what you don't work for yourself, you're not in charge of your own destiny. It's like, but if you've got a good fucking job and a good environment, why would you want anything else? We were chatting on the call the other night, and I think it was Andy, runs ultra marathons, builds his portfolio on the side, spends plenty of time. I've heard him on the podcast, and he's like, yeah, I'm on 100 grand a year, and he's self-employed and I'm tax efficient, but I think I'm just going to go full-time property. Why? Yeah. Why the fuck do you want to do that? If you're happy in your job and you're getting good money and you're not really majorly pushing, you can spend your time with your kids, and like, why do you want to leave? But it was like this attraction on social media that wanted you to leave, and it's like, you can have your cake and eat it. Yeah. Run your ultramarathons and still build your portfolio and still spend time with your kids. Whereas I was in the office on that call at 10 o'clock at night because it's my business. And Scott McCall was sitting on the call in his business away to work at the back of the call. I was like, the self-employed guys are fucking here working until...
You've talked about this in the past before as well. Really good point that you've brought up is about you thought, looking in hindsight, I'm pretty sure it was yourself that said this, you maybe did things back to front in terms of doing the business stuff.
Yes.
And then the investing.
So trying to invest before you have something to invest.
I
So
think it's really good.
In
point.
terms of like young people, I think that as you're young and coming into space, skills is what you're actually looking to get. How can you get skills? It's not income. Like you can go and work for yourself and try and maximize the income you can make with the non-existent skills you have, or you can go and get paid to learn skills from people that are actually doing it. And remember, jobs aren't forever. You're working for yourself. You're just choosing to align your path with a company for a period of time because you know that there's benefit. So when I say to the staff, you don't work for, John won't like this, but you don't work for Prime Property Auctions. You work for you. You're tying your vision with us because it benefits you and it benefits us. You're a free agent in life. You're choosing
that,
to.
Nathan, next time you take any shit, mate, just remind them of that.
Give Nick a call. He'll employ you.
Nathan is the most looked after employee ever, and I.
He's behind you.
What kind of top performing agent? What's the potential earning for somebody that does really well? You guys, would be a realistic figure? No 10 grand a month.
To be fair, you could make. I mean, give us a couple of years and people would be making 10 grand a month easily. When one of the guys will make 75 grand this year, and he's only been with us for 4 months.
Nice.
So, but he's on the phones every time I come in the office. He is on the phone. He's always got somebody. He's got a deal he's working on. He went the month we got 27 sales. So I think obviously we've been upfront and said like when we get 30 sales in a month, we're taking all the guys to Vegas. So I think the last day of the month was on a Sunday, and he texted me. He was like, "Can you check the bank?"
It's my sale, but
and then and then someone had paid us, so he was still grinding to try and get that. And because we pay more every time they sell, so it was like it would be better for him to get that sale that month than roll it into the next month because he gets less. Because once it resets at the start of the month. So we want guys that are like hungry. I mean, this is the thing. You've got to love the game of sales.
You can turn up to Prime, you can work a 9 to 5, you can switch off at 5, I'm assuming, and make an okay living. Yeah. But are you going to the Scottish Property Podcast Networking event once a month? Are you going out to meet every investor for coffees? Are you going to work at the weekends, because you can put in the extra mile to make that money.
In life, you get what you put in. So if you are commission based, it can suck sometimes, but it's reps. The more you do, the better you get. The better they get, the more you want to do. And the more you do, the more money you make. And so it's that circle of like, this is great. I'm getting better now. I want to do it more. I'm making more money. Oh, I'm getting better. I want to do more. I make it like, that's just the way it works. You're going to start and you're going to be crap.
Yeah,
but be okay with being crap.
You got to have a little bit of natural ability as well, right? It's like, to be a professional footballer, you need to have that natural gift a bit as well.
It helps.
Right?
Or is it desire?
I think
if you've got the desire and the willingness to learn and grow all the time, then surely you can just.
People come into the business and they are naturally quite salesy. They're confident. They've got the kind of attitude about them. And then someone else comes in at the same time, maybe doesn't have that, but they're coachable.
Yeah.
If you're coachable, that person over a long enough time period will go much further. Just than someone that's talented, maybe it's sales.
Interesting. Lastly, just to finish off, you guys are putting a lot back into the business, marketing, advertising, etc. And again, that's why you're here today, because we appreciate your support.
Guys,
so
we've paid to be here.
Again, guys,
next sold out.
As long as you don't start your course, that's fine. For those business owners, I put myself in, I think I can learn a lot from you guys as well. I'm looking at possibly paid ads, Google, AdWords, Facebook, all the rest of it. What's been the best return on investment for you guys so far?
So for us, we've built the business on referrals. But before you start looking at paid ads or anything like that, you need to understand what your offer is to the market. This is something Hormozy talks about. I'm big on Hormozy. So
where's that plaster on your nose, mate? What happened?
I can breathe today. So figuring out your offer. So actually figuring out what it is you offer to the marketplace. Because if you can't describe that in a sentence, there's no point in trying to run paid ads to anything, because you're not speaking to anyone.
Right. But so where should I spend my money? Facebook or Google?
Referrals.
Buy a book. Buy $100 million offers.
Right. Hormozy. Cool. I can't get Hormozy. I just can't get. I'm not into it. I've read the book. I've listened to the podcast. I've watched the YouTube videos. I'm a Gary V, old school Gary V fan.
It's not a concept that he made up. Like creating an irresistible offer is a thing throughout all of these guys. It's actually understanding what it is you sell.
Yeah, I just can't take to the guy, so I can't really get into his content. I wish I could.
Irrelevant of Hormozy, as Lewis just said.
Aye,
It's
the
like,
theory.
what are you offering?
Aye,
So
the
what-
whole theory.
What is different between you and another letting agents? And then, so what can you really do to get that? And then once you can, because it's all sales at the end of the day. It's like, what is your pitch to the market to get them in the door? Once they're in the door, then yes, then you will be able to help them. But until you know that, I mean, as Lewis said, we are big on referrals. We pay a lot of referral fees.
And does referrals come from social media brand building as well? Does that
Yeah, I mean,
help?
that's through networks. It's through people knowing us organically.
Aye.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, Nathan, you're still in a job, mate. Nice one.
Well, Nathan was our second
working.
hire. So as a young budding company, instead of going, we need more sales guys, we went, we need more money pumped into the business. So we invested in buying a media guy into the company so we could ramp up how many people know us, and ultimately made our jobs hell for 6 months before we could then hire more people.
Which is pretty rare, to be honest, for a new company to go down that route. I think it's fucking brilliant. I think
Media, I mean, that's what Lewis is saying. Is like we are trying to build a media machine. So if people know who we are, for instance, John and Lewis at Prime Property Auctions, they'll sell your property in 28 days. And it's like, have you heard from John and Lewis? Like, that's what we want. The more people that know us, the more people that know that we can help them sell their properties, then the more money we'll make.
That's what Gary Vee preaches as well. So I'm a big fan of that. 100%.
Yeah.
Good. Great to have you in, guys. Thanks again for providing the value to the listeners. Where can they reach out to you?
So we're both big on social media. So Instagram, we're both, so John_property_auctioneer. And I'm Lewis_property_auctioneer.
John's a wee bit camera shy, but
I know. So.
brilliant. Speak to you soon, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Guys.